Well, here we are again. You know, it's at this point, if you're watching this, it's really just kind of to hear me bitch, I imagine. Because, like, if you're a fan at this point, Season 5 of Legendary Defender, I don't think I'm going to change your mind. I don't think this show is going to change your mind. You've pretty much settled in and you're here for the entirety. Meanwhile, if you don't like the show, like I don't, you know, little warning there for anyone who's tuning in for the first time. I highly doubt Season 5 is going to be, like, so good that I'm like, oh man, freaking, this show's really starting to come to its own. Like, no. Like, they came close, for those who might not remember, they came close with Season 3, or Season 3A as I called it at the time. I actually felt that they did some good there. It wasn't great, but, I was like, they're showing some potential. And then Season 4 happened. And I couldn't believe just how much they nosedived. But I guess now I have to call them Season 3 and 4 because of how they recently announced each season from now on is going to be only 6 or 7 episodes. Fine, whatever, at least I don't have to suffer as long through these. So really this is just to help me, at least on a personal level, this has just helped me break down my thoughts on each episode, as well as help me remember stuff so when I go into super detail when bitching about the podcast, on it about the podcast. That said, I might have said this in the Season 4 review, I don't remember, but if you're listening to this, with previous ones I tried to be as spoiler-free as I possibly could. If you're in at this point, I don't think you care about spoilers. Like, if for some reason you're like, I've never seen Legendary Defender, oh look, a recap of Season 5, let's watch that. Like, I think you're pretty much accepting you're gonna hear spoiler talk. So, we'll see. I'm just gonna talk freely when it comes to these episodes now. Like, I'll try not to go into too much detail because I don't want this recap, review, rant, whatever you want to call it, to be like 5 million years long, but like, man, dude, I'm going to be a lot more freeform with this one. So, with that said, Season 5, the first episode is called The Prisoner. And, well, let's just get into this. Alright, so that's probably a new record. It took exactly 5 seconds for me to have a complaint. And it's the intro, actually. Now you might be thinking, oh, well, Stan, you've already complained that the intro is boring and that you like skipping over it every time you watch a new season. Yeah, okay. Here's the problem, though. You're right, that the intro has not changed. That's the problem. And I'm not even just talking about the opening song, which I've already stated is unremarkable, unmemorable, and just all-around inferior to the iconic theme of the 80s. No, I'm talking about the animation. The animation has not changed in the slightest, despite the fact that the visuals don't match the show at this point. Especially given Seasons 3 and 4, there should at least be some minor differences in terms of who's piloting what lion, or the weapons they're wielding, or something. But no, it's been the same ever since Season 1, and to me that is lazy. So yeah, great job, and nice fast way to lose points already. Next up, this is a Pidge-focused episode, because Lord knows we don't have a shit ton of those already. Like, I just don't get it. Like, is it because Pidge is the most, well, other than Shiro anyway, the most popular character? Is that why she keeps getting basically all of the focus time? Because, as I've complained with every season, half of these characters are just there. They don't get arcs. They don't get development. They don't even get focus, really. And when they do, it's usually just some annoying shtick. Like, that's really all there is to it. Like, it seems like now the writers are focused solely on who became popular. And they don't seem to realize that they became popular because they were the only ones that got focused. So, like, fucking, like, why would Hunk be popular, for example? The character who, anytime he's on screen, he's just, like, talking about food. or he's a fat joke. And he gets, like, no time to shine. I think, in total, he's gotten, like, if I'm remembering correctly, like, 1 episode, and that was in Season 1. So, like, why would Hunk be a breakout character? You know what I mean? Like, they really wrote themselves into a corner here, in terms of character arc, but fine. Whatever. Also, the mission was stupid that they went on in the beginning. And, you know, I gotta say, though, in terms of things that are good, again, I've said it throughout Season 3 and 4, Lotor is still the best character so far. He is the only one I give a fuck about. Because even though he's very obviously still evil and has his own agenda, he, both in universe and in a meta sense, his voice actor, they're very good actors. Like, I can't remember the voice actor's name, but to me, he really does breathe a life into this version of Lotor. That just makes him very charming, very likable. Honestly, I'm rooting for him more than anyone else in this friggin' show at this point. Especially considering how screwed he got out of his position in Season 4. Yeah, I'm literally rooting for the Empire at this point, because fuck these characters. And again, I have to reiterate, I still don't think the Voltron Force here is friends, because, like, they get the coordinates to this prison, and immediately they're like, Pidge, we'll come give you backup, and everyone's like, no, we don't need backup. So instead of, I don't know, going anyway because they're basically trying to do a solo mission, they just go, okay, fuck off. Like, yeah, great way to show you care, guys. Fucking hell. I mean, it's not like your castle ship has a fucking warp drive that you could use to just fucking zap over there instantly. Nah, fuck that. What? Yeah, whatever. So yeah, bad start. Was not impressed. So, next episode is Blood Duel. They're gonna be stupid and make a deal with Zarkon. Good to see no one on this team actually has a brain. See you there. Alright, so, I actually gave this episode a pass. It starts off really dumb with, Pidge, because this is still a Pidge and Matt and not Chip, quote unquote, episode. But like the thing is, again, like Lotor is the only reason I'm still watching at this point, because he does get a fair amount of time to shine in this episode. And again, all of his scenes are the most memorable, just either in the way he talks or like a good chunk of this episode is this really great fight scene he actually has against Zarkon. That almost goes like DBZ, just about. Which, by the way, Zarkon is now Bane, apparently. But, like, also, like, they're kind of hinting that Lotor is gonna be a paladin at some point, because he gets the Black Bayard and he can use it, no problem. But, like, and there's... But, dude, like, he, like, fuck everything else. That's all dumb or unnoteworthy. I don't care. No, Lotor is the highlight here, man. Like, they even had a great little callback to 80s Voltron, in which, you know, he lusted after Allura. in this kind of funny scene, actually, where, he, like, indirectly, he hits on Allura here, where he's like, you know, if we united, we could have children, and it would be like a new symbol of peace between our two empires, and, like, basically outright asks her to have his baby. Fucking, but again, dude, yeah, like, that fight scene right in the middle was so good. Like, the choreography was good, the animation was great, there was legit emotional intensity, to the point that whenever they cut away from it, dude, I was pissed off. I was like, no, fucking go back. Fuck everything else going on. I want to see how this is playing out, because it's the only thing I really care about here. And heck, even Zarkon, who I've complained about this version of him being really boring, he actually shows some legit intensity in these scenes. So the two actors played off each other very well. Like, I don't know if if they recorded their lines together or not, but like, if not, man, they did a good job just playing off themselves. But yeah, dude, Lotor. Lotor is the only reason to watch this show at this point, and that's kind of sad. Cause, and I guess I should note too, we have the project thing that hints that Shiro is a clone. Apparently, it's getting moved forward, but who cares? Like, just Lotor is in full swing. Please be the season of Lotor. I will give this season a pass if it is. Just please. Alright, so next episode is Post-Mortem. Let's see how that goes. Alright, so this episode, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't really noteworthy all that much. It was just kind of a thing that happened. There's really only I guess 3 little instances that really stand out here, because like the whole mission and the sequence, like the battle sequence, really just kind of grated on me, so I'll start with that. Yet again, another complaint of mine that they've yet to fix. Voltron's, for being the supposed strongest weapon in the universe, Voltron gets punked out a lot in this show. Like, I mean, I get that the show would be really boring if they just formed the robot and then they just like one-shot every threat that came past them. Like, I understand that from like a dramatic storytelling point of view. Like, that's not the issue. The issue is that even when Voltron is starting to make like its amazing reprise and like, oh, now we're gonna kick ass, they still get like floored, you know? But that said, there are a couple good moments with the Lance in this episode, I will say. Like, now he actually does have a sniper rifle, like a lot of fans want him to have from day one, because it makes more sense. And there's also this little thing where there's this mind meld thing, and he's the only one who can reach out to Shiro, which that was an okay moment. It's an obvious foreshadowing for what's going to happen in an episode or two, considering how short the season is, but, you know, whatever, that's fine. He also has a nice little talk with Allura, after his training sequence, which, you know, it was a nice little character moment, I felt. The only other thing of note of this episode at the end is bullshit. Like, bullshit that Yorak, or Sendok, as they call him in this version, bullshit that he's alive after being thrown into the vacuum of space for what must be at least a year's time at this point in universe. Fucking no. Bullshit. No way. Fuck that. Like, that is dumb, okay? Like, if they wanted to bring an old villain back, like, I guess in terms of this show, yeah, he would be the only one to pick because he at least has a basis in 80s Voltron, but at the same time, why couldn't they just, I don't know, introduce somebody new? Like, they could have brought in somebody from Vehicle Voltron, for example, you know, like, especially now that Paige's character arc is basically resolved, I hope, fucking start giving us little connections to Vehicle Voltron, or bring the Galaxy Garrison back, which they seem to be hinting about. But, you know, anything else, this doesn't work to me. Although that said, I guess they're trying to call back to Season 1 when Shiro was having visions and shit, but, like, way too late to deliver on that, guys. Whatever. So yeah, not a terrible episode, but, like, like not a good one. So next episode is Kralzera. We'll see how that goes. So one thing I should note right off the bat is they actually did not go the route I thought they were gonna go with like as I was watching this. Originally I thought what they were gonna do is, because of how Keith finally shows up with this episode, I thought they were gonna pull some bullshit where Keith, like, accidentally lights the flame, and then, like, because, oh, well, he's half Galra, so he's Emperor, yay. Like, I thought that would have been dumb. But no, they don't do that, thankfully. That said, though, this episode is all about Lotor, and hell yeah, man, I'm all down for that. Like, again, he's got a really good fight sequence, and I'd be repeating myself if I kept going on about how likable his character is. But yeah, and what really helps these episodes as well, at least at the moments where they focus on Lotor, is that, and I said this with season 3, there's like no stupid humor. Like, that's something I can definitely give this season, actually, is that they have kept the really childish, dumb humor to a minimum. And like I said, like they kind of did with season 3, where it really does help to build a mood and to help me give at least slightly more of a crap about what's going on. That said, it's not devoid of it. Like, Hunk still makes a fucking food joke in this episode. There have been some really misused anime faces, stuff like that. But, you know, at least it's not the fucking, oh, we're so much better than fucking Power Rangers episode from season 4. Thank fuck. But, yeah, so this was all about Lotor ascending to the throne. Totally down with it. This was actually not as good as not as good as episode 2, but you know what? I was more invested in this than I have been throughout a lot of other episodes, so I can give it credit for that at least. So, next episode is Bloodlines, and the description makes me very nervous, considering what I just said. Here we go. Alright, so I don't know if this episode was actually trying to go for a twist or not, because it's pretty obvious where it's going. Basically we learn we meet Keith's mother. And it's pretty obvious who she is, the moment you see her, because she has Keith's face. They probably did that on purpose, I would imagine. So yeah, this is a Keith episode, but like something else to note before all that though. This is kind of a better version of the Mall episode from season 2, because there's also this little side plot going on with Lance, Hunk, and Pidge, where they're all just kind of hanging out having fun. It's meant to be your comic relief, and while I didn't find it very funny, I didn't find it really annoying either. It was just kind of there. I was like, whatever. All the scenes were really short enough, and also not obnoxious to the point where it pissed me off. Like, I was just kind of dead neutral to him. I was like, whatever. That said, those scenes did give me a singular chuckle, so I guess I can give it that. But it really does make me wonder, where, like, I mean, I know it's going to sound weird coming from me because I've always bitched about the more lighthearted aspects of the show, but, like, where was this in, like, seasons 1 and 2? And what do I mean by that? Because, like, the only time I recall any of the Paladins hanging out, having fun, and, like, being friends is the season 1 episode where they all started training together. That's the only thing, like, unless you count the Mall episode, I guess, but, like, they were all secluded in their own little areas. They weren't, like, hanging out together, so I don't count that. So, like, where was, in the early episodes, all the scenes of them bonding as a group? Where was all the scenes of them just kind of talking, or, like, just doing things friends would do, you know? Because it's really things like that which would have helped me sell this group as, like, a tight-knit, quote-unquote family unit. Just it's nowhere until now. Like, so it was at least appreciated that finally we see this group actually, like, getting along and having a good time and not bitching at each other or leaving each other for dead, you know? That was at least nice. I mean, there's also these side scenes with Allura and Lotor, which were pretty okay. It's mostly just, you know, stuff to advance the plot. But the main focus of this episode is Keith and his mission in which he finds his mother. And, you know, I really highlighted Keith and his little character arc in Season 2. And here, I mean, it's good to see that it's advancing. It's just that I didn't really find the episode all that engaging, you know. So there's really nothing inherently wrong with this episode. It's just that it really doesn't leave a big impression like what Lotor has been doing this whole season. So, you know, not a bad episode, but it's definitely it was definitely nice to see that things are starting to come to a head. Although I I do have a couple theories about how this final episode is gonna go, and I'm glad they didn't do what season 4 did, and they had that fucking awful episode. God. And I do, unless this next episode really shits the bed, I do actually have one good compliment to give about this season, but I'll save it. So the next episode is White Lion, and I swear to God, if this is gonna go the way I think it does, then I know what these writers of this show are doing. Like straight, I know what their game is here. Okay, so yeah, see you there. Alright, so that episode did not go the way I thought it would, actually. That said, the ending of it still didn't really surprise me, all things considered, but I mean, it wasn't a bad episode. What's the best way to really describe this, honestly? It's like, the description makes it seem like Shiro's gonna play a huge part in this episode, but he kinda doesn't. There's really only like one scene, and it's very blatant sequel hooking for, you know, season 6. But yeah, this episode is all about Allura and Lotor, and it's not bad. I was not surprised by Lotor getting denied the gift, quote-unquote, at the end. That said, he's a very graceful loser, I will say that. But yeah, this one's, because, like, again, this is hard to describe because it's basically all one singular event. And I guess if you're good for this journey, then you'll like this episode. Meanwhile, I mean, I thought it was okay. I wasn't really like, oh, like, you know, there wasn't really anything visually outstanding, at least to me. The plot itself was fine. It didn't really have any super strong character moments. I mean, it's very much just a bridge for season 6. And, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not bitching. But yeah, just on a whole, it was not... It didn't have anything for me personally that was, like, super notable, really. Although Lotor's chemistry with the group is actually surprisingly decent, I will say. Although, I guess it is also kind of a bummer, too. All this plot stuff has been happening this season, and Keith has been around for, like, none of it. I guess they just don't want Keith around anymore, and that kind of sucks, really. But, yeah, June 15th is when Season 7 comes out, according to the preview they give at the end, and the preview's also really lazy because it features all just footage from the opening. So, you know, lazy. But yeah, so really all there is to say then is, how does the season stack up in general? Well, you know, despite the fact that I was really dreading this, and I do have some issues, I overall thought it was okay. It's definitely better than Season 4. It'd be pretty hard not to be, but... And I said I would give this compliment at the end, so here it is. I will definitely say this season definitely does feel like it was written as a full season, rather than a season cut in half. Like, it definitely feels like it was written as one definite narrative to be taking place over 6 episodes. Unlike Season 3, unlike Season 4, and I even think I bitched like that about Season 1 too, despite that being 13 episodes, but... Yeah, so overall, this was not bad. Again, it has not changed my mind to the point where I'm like, oh, this show's totally worth it. Like, no, overall, I still don't really like the show. I'm mainly just here for Lotor at this point. And, you know, this season delivers on him, so kudos. Like, yeah, I don't think this is going to win any over. I don't think this will be like, this show sucks, I'm done, you know, like... At this point, you are where you are with this, and all we can really do is give our impressions as people who are still tuning in to watch the show. So, yeah, Season 5, not terrible. I mean, I imagine... Because at the time of this recording, the podcast will happen tomorrow, so I'll give my super full thoughts there. But even then, I don't really see the review taking that long. I mean, I know I say that every time, but, like, this one really, like, compared to the other ones, I'm mainly just going to be talking about how Lotor is cool. Like, you know, so, with that, yeah, I mean, what are your guys' thoughts? Feel free to share. I mean, is there anything I missed? Anything of note that you caught that I didn't? Do you disagree? Do you agree? Whatever. But, yeah. If you want my full thoughts, that podcast will be up in a week or two. So, until then, I mean, what would I score this? I'd give it about a 3 out of 6. I mean, I know I say that a lot too, but this time it really does feel that way. So, till next time, guys, take care.